I'm Donterius Jones, and this is the Morning Brief, where we cut through the noise and tell you what's exactly going on. Because a lot happened today, not all of it's being reported honestly. Let's get into it. Our first headline, where we start off with growing tensions between the United States and Iran. And once again, the world is being pushed closer to the edge. Oil markets are reacting. Global shipping routes are under pressure, and the Strait of Hormuz is becoming a potential flashpoint. Now, here's the part you're not going to hear everywhere. Weak, inconsistent foreign policy invites escalation. When adversaries don't know where the United States stands, or worse, think they do, they test limits. And right now, that's exactly what's happening. Here's Al Jazeera with that report.
Well, U.S. President Donald Trump says American forces have seized an Iranian-flagged cargo ship near the Strait of Hormuz. It is the first of such incidents since the U.S. military imposed a naval blockade on Iranian's southern coast, forbidding ships to head to and from Iranian ports. So in a post on Truth Social, President Trump said this, quote, "Today, an Iranian-flagged cargo ship named Tuska, nearly 900 feet long and weighing almost as much as an aircraft carrier, tried to get past our naval blockade, and it did not go well for them. The U.S. Navy guided missile destroyer USS Spruance intercepted the Tuska in the Gulf of Oman and gave them fair warning to stop. The Iranian crew refused to listen, so our Navy ship stopped them right in their tracks by blowing a hole in the engine room. Right now, U.S. Marines have control or custody of the vessel. The Tuska is under U.S. Treasury sanctions because of their prior history of illegal activity. We have full custody of the ship and are seeing what's on board." Now you can see the ship in question here on this tracker of marine shipping around the Strait of Hormuz. Most ships are not passing through the waterway due to the conflict. Iran said it was closing the route.
Our second headline, we are speaking about Trump versus the Pope. Back home, a clash between Donald Trump and Pope Leo XIV is sparking major debate. This isn't just politics. This is culture. You got one side speaking directly to voters about national identity, borders, and sovereignty, and another increasingly stepping into political territory that many Americans feel should stay separate from religion. The real question is, who do voters trust more to speak for their values? Because that answer could shape the next election. Here's Fox 26 Houston with that report.
I'm not a big fan of Pope Leo. He's a very liberal person, and he's a man that doesn't believe in stopping crime. He's a man that doesn't think that we should be toying with a country that wants a nuclear weapon so they can blow up the world. I'm not a fan of Pope Leo.
Note to Donald Trump: every pope in my lifetime has been a blanket opponent of literally every war and all human suffering. It's pretty much in the job description. But instead of fully grasping that highly predictable norm, our president took the criticism personally and initiated a moral, sorry it's Sunday, pissing match with the pontiff. Not smart. Another unforced error compounded by this, the since deleted image of himself in Christ-like garb, healing the afflicted. Panel, I have given the president credit when credit was due, but this certainly is not one of those actions. On the contrary, Holly.
Go, sure, come to me first. You know, there is a history of American politicians having conflict with the Pope and Catholic leadership. On the Democrat side, it's been over abortion and gay marriage. On the Republican side, it's over wars and immigration policy. So, but I think the president here stepped into territory where he probably should have just let it go, because the Pope is doing what the Pope is supposed to do. He leads the church. He's not a politician. And, you know, Nancy Pelosi basically ignored when an American bishop said that she couldn't take communion because she was so pro-abortion. And that was probably the better route to take. I mean, she certainly got away with that, and I'm pretty sure she took communion.
Okay, we were speaking about the economy. Let's talk about your wallet. Gas prices are rising again. And no, it's not just market forces. Global instability plays a role, but policy decisions matter. Energy independence used to be the goal. Now, Americans are once again stuck watching prices climb while being told it's out of anyone's control. That's a tough sell when people are paying more every single week. Here's CBS News with that report right now.
Well, new CBS News polling shows nearly 2/3 of Americans are feeling negative about the U.S. economy as the war with Iran drives up inflation. Get this, 63% are rating current economic conditions as bad and only 32% as good. And our polling shows Americans' disappointment with the economy is affecting their views of the president. 61% disapprove of President Trump's overall job performance, 65% disapprove of his handling of the economy, and 69% his handling of inflation. Now, last week's Consumer Price Index report shows inflation surged in March, largely because of rising energy prices from the war with Iran. The president addressed increasing energy costs while calling into Fox News yesterday.
So do you believe the price of oil and gas will be lower before the midterm elections?
I hope so. I mean, I think so. It could be, or the same, or maybe a little bit higher, but it should be around the same.
And here to discuss this, Haima Moore and Kevin Sheridan. Haima is a principal for Cornerstone Public Affairs and was the director for the office of the DNC chair. Kevin is a Republican strategist who formerly served as a spokesperson for the RNC and a senior advisor for the 2012 Romney-Ryan presidential campaign. Thank you both for joining us. Kevin, I've got to start with you. We got to talk about this polling. It shows that the number of Americans who approve of President Trump's handling of inflation is at its lowest level since he returned to office. So how worried should the White House be about this?
Well, the White House is going to stick with this strategy as long as they need to see this through. The bigger question is how many Republicans will break off. Right now, it's not that many in Congress. They are looking at a very scary midterm. But since 2024, and when he dragged the Republican Congress, into the majority with his election, they've shown deference, and that's kind of still where they are. And they're obviously everyone is concerned. Everyone wants to see lower gas prices. This is very scary for Republican prospects in the midterms, but they're willing to see it through at least for a little while. I don't know how long that lasts, though.
Well, Haima, let me ask you this. Are Democrats doing enough to prove to Americans that they've got a better approach to address the economy?
Hey, Michael, good to see you. Look, that's been a lot of conversation. I was just down in New Orleans last week with the DNC as they had their spring meeting. I think that's been a big conversation for Democrats right now. It can't just be about opposing Donald Trump and opposing Republicans. It has to be about what do Democrats want to see for the future of this country, particularly the economy. And I think over the next few months, and you've seen even the last few months over the course of the primaries for the midterms, there are more Democrats that are having more direct conversations about the economy, which used to be a very strong suit for President Trump going into this last election. And so you're going to see that happen more and more and more. And as you get those governors out there, as you get those members who are running for re-election, you're going to have a bit more of an agenda conversation than just an opposition conversation.
Kevin, something...
Off headline, we are talking about a controversial decision on Capitol Hill. Lawmakers quietly pushed forward a extension of a controversial surveillance program. This is where things get uncomfortable. Both parties talk about protecting Americans, but when it comes to expanding government power, there's a lot more agreement than disagreement. The question you should be asking is simple. Who's watching and who's being watched? Here is KGW News with that right now.
Congress has passed a 10-day extension of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, which was set to expire on Monday. The measure is now awaiting a signature from President Trump. Reauthorizing the act has been a contentious issue on Capitol Hill. The House ultimately rejected the substance of the 5-year deal. They also blocked a vote that would have advanced an 18-month extension that the Trump administration had pushed for. Speaker Mike Johnson says leadership expects to reach a final agreement before the new deadline.
Our fifth headline today, we're talking about elections. We are talking about the dark money elections. A legal battle brewing in Maine could challenge the entire system of dark money in politics. Now, depending on where you stand, this is either long overdue or a major threat to political speech. But one thing is clear. Big money isn't leaving politics anytime soon. It's just a matter of who controls it. Here's MS Now with that report.
On Tuesday, a bunch of races will be on the primary ballot in Illinois, including a crowded race in a safe Democratic district in Chicago's northern suburbs, where Jan Schakowsky is retiring, the state's 9th congressional district. There are 3 candidates who are sort of the main candidates, top of the polls, in the Democratic race to replace Schakowsky. And dark money groups have poured millions of dollars into this one race, including super PACs backed by AIPAC, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee. Now, MS Now has exclusive reporting that finds that one dark money group is offering to pay influencers $1,500 from an undisclosed source to post content attacking one of the top Democratic candidates. Brandy Zarazi.
And our final headline of the day, we're speaking about a tragedy shooting in Louisiana has left multiple children dead. A devastating story, one that raises serious questions that go far beyond the headlines. Because every time this happens, we get the same talking points, but very few real solutions. And Americans are starting to notice that pattern. Here's BC News with that report.
Tonight, heartbreak in Louisiana.
It's a terrible morning in Shreveport, and we all mourn.
After a shocking morning of gun violence.
Right now, we have at least 10 individuals that were struck by gunfire last night in a domestic disturbance. 8 of these individuals are deceased.
The violence breaking out just after 6 in the morning here. Authorities say they responded to a domestic call spread between 2 residences where they found 10 people shot.
The ranges of the decedents are from 1 year of age to approximately 14 years of age. All of the deceased in this case are juvenile.
After that, police say the lone suspected gunman carjacked a vehicle and drove to neighboring Bossier City, leading police on a chase that ended in an exchange of gunfire.
At which point in time, Shreveport police officers did discharge their firearm, and that individual is deceased.
Families devastated.
To wake up and to hear this kind of news that someone would shoot 8 children, 8 innocent children, it's just unreal.
Authorities have yet to identify the deceased shooter or any of the victims, but say that some of the children are believed to be children of the deceased gunman. No officers were injured in the pursuit, which spanned several miles and 4 different locations across the area.
I think about this community and what this community has lost. And I don't have the words to give you, and I'm sorry.
Tonight, the people of Shreveport grappling with an unthinkable loss.